Jokic has come out and said that he also believes he's playing the best basketball of his career. He's the greatest basketball player that I have personally seen. You should feel confident about your chances to contend for a championship season in, season out, game in, and game out. And right now, I don't even know if you can make the argument that it's 50-50 because I do believe that the Nuggets are what their record says they are. They have some talent. They have some upside. Sure, if everything comes together and playoff Jamal is back and Michael Porter Jr. can hit a three every now and again and Aaron Gordon's doing his thing and Jokic is putting up triple-doubles. That's wishful thinking, though, Dan.
How many teams are winning back-to-back championships in this league and just kind of the modern era of kind of sports in general, professional sports, collegiate sports? I would say give the guys some credit. I mean, for real. I got to go Phil Jackson on you. It's like, listen, who's got a better situation than the Nuggets? I'd say there's not 5 or 6 teams that have better situations. And its situations is all-encompassing. That means upside, trajectory, bad contracts, young players, old players. I'd say there's not 5 or 6 better situations than the Nuggets, and that projects to the next 2 or 3 or 4, even 4 years. So, okay, up to this point, Aniello, you're acting like they should have at some point blown this thing up.
No,
they were this close, and I'm holding up about an inch of fingers right here. I'm going to just crush your head. Okay? I'm telling you right now, they're this close last year to maybe, if you get out of the Timberwolves series, playing the Celtics in the NBA Finals. You heard Jason Tatum say, man, I don't know. If we felt good about everything and everybody except for the Denver Nuggets. We don't know what that would have been. It was weird for him to even speak out like that. But what I'm telling you is, so this year, they re-signed Jamal. You can't trade him. Michael Porter Jr. is maybe they had a flood of offers. Maybe there was a Michael Porter Jr. for Kuzma kind of offer out there. But other than that, you're acting like there was some deal they passed on, some move they didn't make. Sometimes it's the reality of the situation and the circumstances you got to live with, and you just got to move forward with the team you have. And we got to try to pump these guys up a little bit, not kind of try to tear them down, because we know Jamal's emotional. We know Michael Porter Jr. looks like one of the
Curious Mike.
25 or 30 best players in the NBA once out of every 4 games, and the rest of the time you're wondering, hey, I forgot about him. But it's just who and what these Denver Nuggets are, the way they're constructed. And I'm telling you, you may not like it, but you better learn to love it. Woo! Sorry, you made me.
Here's the thing,
you made me go nature boy. I'm sorry.
No, I understand where you're coming from. And for the record, I was on board with run it back before the year started.
Yeah.
I wasn't after last year saying you got to get off Jamal, you got to get off Michael Porter Jr. I was in favor of running it back with this current core. But at the end of the day, man, when Jokic himself, who never toots his own horn, is saying, I think I'm playing the best basketball of my career, and we'll get into this later, a guy that will be top 10 player of all time if he stays on this trajectory, 100%.
Jeez, easy, Kendrick.
100%.
No,
well, Kendrick's at top 20.
That's for another discussion.
That's another discussion. But all I'm saying is,
I got the energy for it.
This is the peak of the Denver Nuggets. I don't think they'll ever be as good or have a player as dominant as Nikola Jokic potentially ever again in their franchise history.
If you mean
you have to win,
I would say
to win.
You have to believe that over the next 2 or 3 years that they're going to have a chance to win.
And you think they can do that with Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray?
No, I'm not.
So what's the conversation?
Actually, do you know what?
Talk to me.
Yeah, Aniello, I do think they can. Do I think that a lot of kind of things have to go right in order for them to pull that off and do that? Yeah, but name another top 2 or 3 team in the NBA just off the top of your head right now. It could be anybody. Go, please.
Just in general?
Any top team in the NBA.
Oklahoma City.
Okay, time out. Oklahoma City. I'd say you got to lose the hard way. Like the going gets tough, the tough gets going before you could just kind of win.
Are you acting like Denver didn't pay their dues? Dante knows back their sons in 4.
Listen, I'm saying the Nuggets did pay their dues. I'm saying the Thunder have not paid their dues yet. That's a lot.
But how does that apply to Denver?
There's a lot of teams around Denver that you're acting like have more going for them than the Nuggets, that are closer to winning a championship than the Nuggets. I'd say what the Thunder have done is beautiful. They got stars for days. They're going to have to move on from guys who could be potential all-stars because they're so stacked with stars, and they got a pick that's very high this year as well. But do you know what? They're not ready to win a championship yet, and I don't think one person in this office here will pick the Oklahoma City Thunder to win an NBA championship.
I don't
this year.
disagree with
Not
you.
one guy. So keep going. Give me another team that's
But that's
more
not
going
the
for
point.
than the Nuggets.
But that's not the point. The point is there's flaws on this team that need to be addressed. And here's the thing: Denver can get into a 7-game series. You're not afraid of Minnesota in a 7-game series round one?
Watch this. The Avs are up 2-1, right? They're going to break here. It's the end of the first period. You with me? In the NHL, you're trading guys like, man, you could fire a coach in the middle of the season and go on and win a Stanley Cup. We're just trading guys. Look what happened with Mikko. You can't do that in the NBA. You just can't do it. And you're acting like they left some meat on the bone or they made a horrific deal or signing. You could say that, listen, should they have re-signed Jamal Murray for all that money? They had no choice. They had no choice and that's a fool's conversation anyway for anyone even to go down that road like that was a mistake. No.
I'm not going down that road.
Okay, I'm not saying you are, but there's guys out there like, they shouldn't have re-signed Jamal. Okay, well then they're taking a giant step back. Then you're a 5-6 seed probably playing in. And then once you take that big step back, maybe you never take that big step forward again. So again, the Thunder, give me another team in the West that has it go. I feared Memphis for 5 minutes, and then they've won they've lost 7 or 8 straight games in a row. They fired their coach. They're toast, bro. That's a season. I mean, that's just down the drain, and that's a dangerous team with multiple All-Stars and a bunch of great pieces. Okay, give me somebody else in the West here who's gonna.
I mean, we can go down the list. I think the Lakers with Luka are
no
dangerous.
thanks. Maybe next year.
I
think Reeves, Luka, and LeBron, it's going to take more than 3 guys to do everything.
There's the obvious one. I know you can point out flaws about their season as a whole. Yeah, how are you not afraid of the Timberwolves? You're going to sound like Cecil right now because he's the only person at this station who's not afraid of Minnesota.
I mean, to say that sounds kind of ridiculous. There's something about that team.
6 wins in a row against Denver.
Obviously, it's very obvious, but there's something about that team where they just kind of have the Nuggets number, whether it's a mentality, a schematic, just willpower, yeah, that's a problem. But do you know what? I think they probably get knocked off along the way, and the Nuggets probably don't have to mess with
not
the
if they
Timberwolves.
play each other in the first round.
Well, okay, that's one thing to consider.
Which
but again,
is
and do you know what?
a real
When
chop.
all hands on deck, I actually think they're worse off without Karl Anthony Towns. And I was a guy who I just hated Karl Anthony Towns' game. And I thought that, for one, they're destined to trade him. They did. It was for a tough guy in Julius Randle, but I think they're better off with Karl Anthony Towns. They're not as good as they were last year. And, let's not act like they were so far away from beating the Timberwolves in these playoffs last year when it really, really mattered.
Well, they didn't.
They're right.
Dante? I got a quick question. You were very quick to dismiss the Lakers there.
Okay.
Let's say the Lakers and Nuggets are in a series. Would the Lakers have 3 of the best 4 players on the court?
Would the Lakers have 3 of the best 4 players? They'd have 2 of the 3 best players.
Give me
on
the 3
court.
best players on the court then. Between the 2.
Luka, LeBron, and Jokic.
Exactly.
They'd have 3 of the best 4 players.
I thought you said something else.
But then, do you know what, Dante? I'd probably, before I go Reeves, I'd go back to Jamal. I'd go Aaron Gordon. Then I'd go Reeves. Then I would go back to Michael Porter Jr. So if we're gonna kind of fantasy football chop it up, you know how you're doing like pregame checks by here's his team and here's my team, and they're just projecting check marks by who's gonna win big picture. I love the question, and do you know what, star power is kind of matters, but especially in the playoffs. But the Lakers got to have 6 or 7 guys. They're rolling out Jackson Hayes. They're rolling out some bums out there. And what's scary is what the Lakers could do in the offseason to then make them next season a bona fide legitimate contender, because you know they're going to want to try to get the most out of whatever LeBron has left. But for this season, I think the Nuggets run them. I think they run them out of the gym.
Interesting.
There, I said it.
Is Denver as good as they were last year?
We don't know yet because
with what you've seen, if you have to give an answer.
Well, what they're trying to do here with protecting some guys, benching Jokic for a little bit, shutting Jamal down for some nights here when I think it's, they didn't have to. Guys getting rest, even the Christian Browns of the world. We don't know what that's going to turn into and project to during these playoffs. Well, so this is a different way they've ever approached it.
Let me rephrase it then. What is your definition of success for the Denver Nuggets this season.
Western Conference Finals.
Has to be.
Has to be.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Western Conference Finals, and that's it. And do you know what? If it's the Jokic era, if we're not playing the Celtics or the Cavaliers, and it's probably the Celtics in the NBA Finals, we'll look back at this being a disappointment. Where did we fall short? What didn't Michael Porter Jr. or Jamal do? How do we find another? We'll go back to the KCPs and the Bruce Browns, two more really impactful, like 6th, 7th, and 8th guys, and that's it. But you know what? Like, I'm proud of these Nuggets. They could have been a lot worse off than they are this season, all things considered, truly. And they're right there, bro. They're right there. Listen, Oklahoma City's got talent and youth, and they're just running teams out the gym, bro. But other than that, other than OKC, the Nuggets are right there. And then when it comes to the playoffs, OKC, let's prove it to me, OKC. Prove it to me, bunch of young dudes. Show me.
I don't disagree with you. The point,
apologize.
The point being is that when you've got Nikola Jokic playing the way that he is, you should feel supremely confident about your chances. And there's a lot of what ifs with the Denver Nuggets right now that make me a little bit worried. And I agree. We talked about it with Shap last week on the show. We talk about it online at denversports.com. I think a lot of this comes down to who they draw in the first round.
Yeah.
There's a scenario where Denver plays Golden State and Houston in the first 2 rounds, or Golden State, Memphis, any combination of these teams, right? And they can get to a Western Conference Finals.
Listen, the Warriors with Jimmy Butler haven't done anything besides get hot for a couple weeks and then cool way down.
They play them on Friday.
Okay,
so we'll get a little sample
we're
size.
acting like this group has done something that that the Nuggets haven't. The Nuggets are still like let's put some respect on these guys' name. They're still very dangerous.
It's not a lack of respect from my perspective. It's a matter of you have the best player in the world, and you should do everything possible to go out there and win another championship.
Well, we'll see what this offseason looks like.
100%.
Because the last offseason had to be about Jamal. There was an Olympics we were involved in, heavily involved in a bunch of players, and there's a lot of stuff going on.